I want to touch very briefly on the idea of implicit bias, which is a very popular trend right now. And we understand, because of the incredible research that's been done on this, that all of us as human beings have unconscious, or what's also called implicit biases. And it can be very powerful to understand that, again, these biases we carry are not about us being good or bad people. It has everything to do with how we've been hurt, or how we've been wired, the ways that we're looking for people that look like us, belonging, sense of safety, all the ways that those hurts get internalized in us. But not all implicit biases have the same impact. And it's really important that we acknowledge that if I'm a member of a target group, I'm going to have, my implicit bias is going to have really different material impacts on others than if I'm part of the non-target group. So for the most part, the misinformation, implicit bias, and stereotypes that all of us carry play out as prejudice, which are attitudes of bias, obviously, whether they're conscious or unconscious. They can play out as acts or behaviors that are discriminatory towards others that we have prejudices against. So the prejudice and the discrimination are offshoots. One is attitude or belief, the other one is actually actions. And then the third component, and this is really important, that differentiate, is they can play out as institutional oppression. Now, prejudice and discrimination, all of our biases will play out that way and have somewhat the same impacts, right? If I, for example, as a female don't like men, it's still painful to men that I would have those feelings and I would act those out. But I don't have any institutional power to back up that particular prejudice or bias by virtue of being female. And this is an important distinction. So when you have a bias or you have a prejudice, for it to become an institutional oppression, it must have these three components. The first component is that it's in the national consciousness of the dominant group. Now, we are using dominant group and non-target group interchangeably here because we're talking about relationship to oppression. So the non-target group is the group that's backed with institutional power. Then that dominant group, whatever attitudes, biases, or beliefs that that group, or values that that group holds, then those ideas, beliefs, and biases and values are reinforced through the institutions of our society because they're in the group in power, and there's an imbalance of social and economic power. That's the third and essential component. This is why you can't have reverse oppression. There's no such thing as reverse oppression. There is prejudice and discrimination that can go in any direction, but oppression only goes in one direction, and it's based explicitly on this relationship to social and economic power.